Yo, welcome back, man. We back with another video. It's Sunday evening, man. Hope y'all had a great day. For everybody watching, all the mothers out there, I want to wish y'all a happy Mother's Day. Hope y'all had a wonderful day today. Um, Today we are actually doing a video, and this particular video is the most gangster politician ever, Cassius Marcellus Clay. This is another fat electrician video. Um, The only thing I know about Cassius Clay, the only person that I know by that name would be Muhammad Ali. But this particular video, I don't think it got nothing really to do with Muhammad Ali at all. Um, but again, I don't know nothing about it. So finna watch it with y'all. So let's see what he's talking about.
It's a riveting story. It's really good. All right, we gotta go. I gotta tell the internet about the guy I named you after, okay? You gotta go hang out with mom now.
Cute little baby.
Today we're talking about the most gangster politician in American history. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassius Marcellus Clay, aka the Lion of Whitehall. Whitehall being his family home that he grew up in Kentucky as the son of one of the richest slave owners in all of America. While going to college at Yale to become a lawyer, he would attend a speech from a famous abolitionist by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, and that speech would change the entire trajectory of Cassius Clay's life as well as American history. It is at that moment that Cassius Clay decided he was not only going to be...
Well, now I know. That ain't now we know who Muhammad Ali got his name from. But quite interesting. Let's see what else he talking about.
quietly opposed to slavery, but that he was actively going to fight against it. He would be set down the path to become the most influential abolitionist of all time. Oh God, forgot to do the ad. Hold on. Sorry for bothering the video. Real quick, this video is brought to you by the biggest sponsor of the channel and my favorite sporting goods store, Shields. They've got over 30 retail locations across the United States and an even better online store that I'm going to have linked down below. And if you use my code, you're going to get free shipping. They've got everything you can imagine there. This is where I got this shirt. It's where I got this backpack. All of it was on sale. It was a great deal. Again, use my code down below. You're going to get free shipping. Back to the video. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to mention, Muhammad Ali's original name was Cassius Clay. Yeah, he was actually named after this guy, too. Anyways, back to the video.
See? So, yeah, that's where his name came from. Now y'all know just like I know. But, yeah, I've heard the name Cassius Clay before, but I didn't know that it was actually somebody else's name. And then Muhammad Ali was named after that person. I thought that was just Muhammad Ali's real name. And then it was, everybody knows him as Muhammad Ali, as a boxer, but I didn't know his real name. His first real name was Cassius Clay. But now I know.
Bye-bye. If you don't know, at this point in time, there's basically two different camps you could fall into for being anti-slavery. You could be an abolitionist or an emancipationist. An emancipationist is somebody that wants to vote it out over time, over the next 5, 10, 20 years, versus an abolitionist, which is somebody that believes we need to end slavery right now, and they're willing to fight about it. And in the case of Cassius Clay, he was willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. You see, Cassius Clay wasn't just some nobody punk kid that went off to college and decided that he didn't like slavery. This was the son of one of the wealthiest slave owners in all of America. So for him to come out and voice anti-slavery views was a huge deal, and it pissed off a lot of people.
I can imagine it did. But thank you for wanting to do the right thing and stand up for what was right and not be like the rest of those people.
So, being that this was the 1820s, what do you do when you're pissed off? You challenge somebody to a duel. So needless to say, the young Cassius Clay found himself partaking in an awful lot of duels, and he never, ever lost. So, obviously he's pretty good at it, and what do you do when you find something you're pretty good at? You want to keep doing it, right? Right. So Cassius Clay starts challenging anyone and everyone to a duel that dares to oppose him. It became common knowledge in his community that Cassius Clay would be willing to fight the wind if it blew from the west and he wanted it to blow from the east. This man went on a dueling rampage, so much so that by the time he graduated college, he was considered to be the deadliest duelist in all of North America. This guy was putting slave owners in the dirt like he was Johnny Appleseed planting fucking trees. He became...
that is nuts to put it that way. Hey, but he was doing his thing, huh? He was definitely doing his thing.
became known as the deadliest abolitionist of all time. So he graduates from college, goes back home as a lawyer. Shortly after that, his father passes away and leaves everything to Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay immediately frees all of his father's slaves, costing himself $40,000, which is roughly $2 million today. And then he even gives some of the slaves land and money on top of it, absolutely infuriating the pro-slavery people in Kentucky. So what do you do when half the local population hates your guts? You run for public office, and that's exactly what Cassius Clay did. He served in the Kentucky State Legislature from 1835 to 1841, and then finally lost his re-election, to which the pro-slavery crowd breathed a huge sigh of relief because they finally defeated Cassius Clay, or so they thought. Clay immediately starts traveling the country, giving amazing anti-slavery speeches, winning over hearts and minds, and this absolutely infuriates the pro-slavery people because they don't know how to stop him. You can't leave.
Yeah, I can imagine, them being pissed off, because they're trying to enforce slavery and they wanted to keep going. And then you got this guy that's completely against it and doing everything he can to fight against it, and ain't nothing you can really do about it other than trying to unalive him. But at the end of the day, he's fighting for a good cause because, I mean, even today, it is 2026 and racism, and stuff like that is still very much real, and it's just sad that we are where we are in the world, and every day is still that level of hate, you know, for people of, like minority people, and it's sad. It really is, because I say it all the time, you know, racism, that's something that's taught. Nobody's born racist. Nobody's born prejudiced. That is literally something that is systematically taught, and to this day, it's still being pushed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and let's just be real. Like, the workforce today is just modern day slavery. You know what I'm saying? Because look at how we work. Like everything, like we don't get paid enough, to do a lot of the jobs that we do, and it's just crazy because we go to work, we slave, and we work for these people, all these long hours, and it's just like they keep continuing to push prices higher and higher, and everything's keep being inflated, like rent, everything is becoming so much more expensive, but nobody wants to pay us anymore. So it's like we're working for nothing, and we're working like dogs, 2 and 3 jobs, and so on and so forth to try to make it anywhere. You know, I just wish stuff could be different, but it's sad to say it probably never change. But yeah, let's get back to the video.
Legally stop a guy from talking to people that want to listen to him, and they can't legally kill Cassius Clay in a duel because he's the best duelist on earth. What do? You've got to illegally kill him. The problem with that is they can't find a hitman that's dumb enough to think that they can take out Cassius Clay, so they have to go to the one crevice of the planet where they can find somebody truly insane enough to think that they can do this job. And that man's name was Sam Brown, an assassin from New Orleans. 1834, Russell Cave, Kentucky. Cassius Clay's finishing up one of his world-famous speeches as he pulls out a burlap sack, reaches into the sack and pulls out a holy Bible and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of God, I make to you this argument against slavery," sets the Bible on the table, reaches back in the sack, pulls out a copy of the U.S. Constitution, and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of man, I present to you this argument against slavery," sets the Constitution down on the table, drops the burlap sack to the ground and says, "For those of you that believe in neither the laws of God or man, I make to you this argument against slavery," as he pulls out both of his pistols and sets them on the table, which I think we can all agree is...
Yo, that's mad gangster, because he basically just putting it out there like, if you got something to say, if you don't like what I got to say or how I feel, let's have at it. May the best man win.
Gangster as fuck. And at this moment, Sam Brown comes up on stage and shoots Cassius Clay point blank in the chest. Luckily, Cassius Clay never leaves home without his trusted Bowie knife, which resides inside of a metal...
Oh, he just gave it to him cutthroat. But did Cassius kill him with the knife though?
metal sheath, and that metal sheath would catch Sam Brown's bullet, saving Cassius Clay's life. At which point, Cassius Clay would draw his Bowie knife and charge Sam Brown. 6 of Sam Brown's friends in the audience tried to stop Cassius Clay. He would fight his way through all 6 of them, making his way to Sam Brown, promptly stabbing him in the chest, and then turning him into a Mr. Potato Head by cutting off his nose, lopping off his ear, and gouging out one of his eyes. Then the 6
That didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. Yeah. Mr. Cassius Clay was quite gangster, wasn't he? Huh. And they say never bring a knife to a gunfight. Yeah.
men recovered and were able to peel Clay off of him. Not knowing what to do, knowing they couldn't stop Cassius Clay forever, they panicked, probably for fear that Cassius Clay was going to start shoving this guy's facial features up his ass next. They did the only thing they could come up with to get the two apart. They picked up their friend Sam Brown, threw him over a 7-foot-high stone wall. He fell down an embankment and into a creek bed to finally get Cassius Clay away from him. Somehow, Sam Brown survived, but not only was he lucky for that, he was also dumb as fuck because he then decided to take Cassius Clay to court because apparently after Cassius Clay stabbed him the first time, they were even on the whole assassination attempt thing, so Cassius Clay should go to prison for mayhem. So Cassius Clay calls upon his older cousin, one of the best lawyers on the planet that had never lost in open court with over 40 years of experience, Henry Clay. Henry Clay goes into court and his entire defense for his cousin is, and I quote, "Your Honor, this is just standard behavior for a Kentuckian." And the judge is just like, "You're innocent."
That ain't no way.
Free to go, that's it. Best court case ever. Literally walks in and just goes,
"I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America."
So after Cassius Clay was found innocent, Henry
Hey, yo, I don't know if any of y'all ever seen South Park, but that is the most unhinged TV show. I ain't gonna say it's the most, but it is one of the most unhinged TV shows that's ever come across TV. Cause them little kids and the stuff that they be going on that TV show is just diabolical. I don't even know how it lasted as long as it did, but that show was completely unhinged.
Clay decides that he's going to run for president and Cassius is going to help him campaign. Cassius is going to tour the country giving speeches saying, hey, you know, vote for my cousin. Here's the rule with that. Henry Clay told him he's only allowed to tour the northern states because he's actually legitimately concerned that if he sends Cassius to the south, he's going to shoot so many fucking slave owners in duels that it could be considered voter fraud. So Henry Clay ends up losing the presidential election and Cassius moves on to his next life adventure, which is becoming an author and writing anti-slavery news articles. The problem with that was none of the newspapers were willing to publish him, so he says, fuck you, I'll start my own newspaper, The True American. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, starting an anti-slavery newspaper in fucking Kentucky in 1845 was not very popular, and his business would receive death threats pretty much every day, some of which were written in blood. So Cassius Clay, in true Cassius Clay fashion, says, fuck it, I guess we're gonna fight about it. He then proceeds to up-armor his entire business and his printing office. He covers the entire front of the office in a large iron sheet, he installs several cannons down corridors, stocks the entire thing with loaded guns, and rigs it to explode. Here's the thing, he also doesn't expect his employees to fight to the death for him, so he installs an escape hatch and instructs them to escape if anything goes down, because he's gonna fight the entire mob by himself. How
This dude is next level. And the fact that he knows his employees probably weren't gonna stay and fight. He could have just been like, okay, y'all can die. You know what I mean? But no, he still built them an escape hatch so just in case stuff went down, they could get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? And get to safety. And he would stay and fight all by himself. Yeah. This dude definitely got main character activity going on. Or main character plot armor, I guess you could say.
is he gonna do that? As soon as you walk in the only door to get into that printing office, you find yourself in a long, narrow corridor with iron on each side, just wide enough for a single man to get through. Cassius Clay is gonna stand in that narrow corridor and fight the entire mob, one man at a time. Literally the mentality of, if you have a problem, take a number, I'll kill you in a minute. This man recreated the entire battle of fucking Thermopylae with 300 Spartans, except he's gonna do it all by himself. If you think fucking with John Wick's dog is a bad idea, the last thing you want to do is fuck fuck with Cassius Clay's printing press because this man is determined to defend the freedom of speech with the right to bear arms at any cost. Obviously, this escalates
Wow.
to Cassius Clay defeating an entire mob single-handedly, right? Wrong. The mob, being full of, super brave pro-slavery men that know they're doing the right thing, do the honorable brave thing and wait till Cassius Clay is bedridden with typhoid fever so they know he isn't going to show up. They show up to his business at night and burn the place to the ground.
Man, y'all a bunch of wimps. It's one dude, and all y'all couldn't pull up while he was healthy and go at it with this man one-on-one, and it's a whole mob of y'all, and y'all gotta wait till he's bedridden to go to his printing place and burn it to the ground. Man, y'all weak. Y'all just weak, just straight, just weak activity, man. Y'all, man, just raggedy.
Because they're a bunch of fucking bitches. Now, Cassius
Yeah,
Clay recovers from typhoid fever. He
don't do no
reestablishes
cussing
a
around here,
newspaper in
but yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio, which
You
is
get
an
it.
anti-slavery stronghold. The only problem with that is being an anti-slavery stronghold, there's not going to be any conflict, and that's fucking boring, so Cassius Clay moves on to another life adventure, volunteering in the Mexican-American War. While serving in the Mexican-American War, he would be a captain leading a group of Kentucky soldiers, and they would be captured pretty much immediately, and he would spend the duration of the entire war as a POW. While serving as a POW, some of the men under his command would escape, meaning that the Mexican military was then going to put the rest of his unit to death. Cassius Clay said, hey, don't kill my men, just kill me and my other fellow officers, we're the ones in charge. It's our fault that those men escaped, it's our responsibility, please let the lower enlisted men go home. The Mexican military was so
That's quite honorable of him to say.
impressed by this that they decided to spare everyone, including Cassius Clay, and he would return home a war hero. Returning home from the war in 1848, he didn't really know what to do, so he starts giving his famous speeches again, this time leveraging his newfound title as a war hero. So obviously it doesn't take long for him to piss everybody off. He faces yet another assassination attempt. This time 6 brothers from a wealthy slave-owning family show up, the Turner brothers. They show up with clubs and knives and guns, and they beat the living shit out of Cassius Clay with the clubs. They stabbed him multiple times. Cassius Clay whips out his trusted Bowie knife, starts opening up these brothers like they're fucking Amazon packages, making his way to the lead brother and stabbing him an excessive amount of times. We don't know how many times, but we do know it was a lifetime supply. Killing the lead brother, ending the assassination attempt, Cassius Clay would fall to the ground, nearly dead, and this would be the closest anybody ever came to actually killing Cassius Clay. When he was asked about it later on in life, all he said was, I felt the utmost indignation, which translates to, I was fucking annoyed. This man almost died.
So he got beat with clubs and stabbed, and all he could say was he pretty much felt annoyed after pretty much getting his lick back after they beat him up. Tell you that main character plot armor or something else, I'm telling you.
From an assassination attempt, and he has the same attitude towards it that I have towards fucking fruit flies, okay? This dude is so metal, he deserves his own spot on the periodic table of elements. Cassius Clay then makes a full recovery from his injuries, starts giving his speeches again. 1853, he donates a large chunk of his land to John Fee, who uses it to found Berea College, the first co-educational and multiracial college in the South ever. Fast forward to 1860, Cassius Clay is giving speeches in Illinois where he meets a politician by the name of Abraham Lincoln, and they get along great. Cassius Clay is then slotted to become Abraham Lincoln's vice president. However,
Oh, wow.
he's a little bit too Cassius Clay to be an actual big-name politician like that, so they give the job to Hannibal Hamlin, and Cassius Clay becomes the ambassador to Russia. 1861 rolls around, the Civil War breaks out, Cassius Clay is in Russia. Cassius Clay not only convinces Russia to not side with the Confederates, but he convinces Russia to tell Great Britain and France that if they so much as recognize the Confederacy, Russia will go to war with them. And this was a humongous step that nobody talks about in the winning of the Civil War. And it is 100% because of Cassius Clay. Fast forward to 1862, Abraham Lincoln wants to appoint Clay a major general in the Union Army. Cassius Clay publicly refuses the President of the United States, saying that he's not going to do it until the President signs the Emancipation Proclamation freeing the slaves of the South. Cassius Clay is literally the man that bullied Abraham Lincoln into prematurely signing the Emancipation Proclamation before he wanted to. And
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. You know, I always said, man, like, at the end of the day, you know, there's there's power in numbers, but it really just takes one person with the will and the drive to try to make a difference. Because even if you can't reach everybody, if you can reach the right person and can get them on your side, sometimes things can happen. Great things can happen. But at the end of the day, you gotta be able to put it on the line to be able to do it. And he did exactly that.
Nobody talks about it. Fast forward again to 1865, the Union wins the Great American Scrimmage, the slaves are freed. Cassius Clay has achieved his lifelong goal at the age of 55, bringing an end to slavery in the United States of America. He then goes back to Russia again to serve as ambassador until 1869, and while he is there, he helps to broker the purchase of Alaska. This man is probably the most influential person in American history that you've never heard of. After returning home from Russia, Cassius Clay would live out the rest of his days in Whitehall until the age of 80 years old, where he would be declared clinically insane, in hindsight most likely due to a severe amount of PTSD, as well as potentially dementia. He didn't die from it, he lived on for quite a bit longer.
That kind of sounds like what's the dude's name? I don't know if y'all ever seen the movie but Men of Honor. What was that dude's name? I can't think of his name. But he ended up going crazy because I guess he had a lot of PTSD, and he kind of went crazy because he was all in the hospital screaming, hollering, and fighting folks and all kinds of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But he was legit, like, mad insane after a while.
He just picked up a new hobby of fucking with the local sheriff because he was crazy now. Over the course of the next decade, Clay and the sheriff would have multiple run-ins that would be concluded when the sheriff and 7 deputies were repelled from Whitehall when Clay utilized his home defense cannon that he had at the top of his stairwell. At that point, the local sheriff would inform the local judge he will not be returning to Whitehall to tangle with Cassius Clay anymore unless the judge was willing to dispatch an entire company of the local militia to accommodate him. Then in 1900, 2 men would break into Whitehall, and Cassius Clay at the age of 89 would manage to kill both of them, one by gunshot and one, yet again, with his trust.
Him and his dang Bowie knife. And he in his dang 80s, and he's still putting niggas in the dirt. This dude is just unbelievable.
Bowie knife. Then in 1903, at the age of 92, Cassius Clay would die of natural causes, or as they called it back then, general exhaustion, which is the most gangster way on the planet to go out. Literally just, I'm tired now, peace. And then he left.
I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now.
In conclusion, when it comes to famous historical household names, there's always another man or woman lurking behind the scenes in the shadows that's deemed too rough around the edges to be in the spotlight, yet they contribute just as much, if not more, to the movement. These men and women are willing to do horrific things for terrific reasons, and when it came to Abraham Lincoln and the abolition of slavery, that man's name was Cassius Marcellus Clay, the most gangster politician in American history. Thanks for watching the video. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
All right, man. So that was another Fat Electrician video, man. That was very entertaining. Learned a lot of different stuff, man. That's pretty cool though. Learning that it's Muhammad Ali's original name, and then just how gangster this dude was at everything that he had to go through, almost dying multiple times, just to be able to get what he wanted to get done, you know, and the links that people went to try to even destroy him, it's just crazy. But that man was very, very much determined to do what he wanted to do because he believed in his cause so much, and he wouldn't let nothing stop him, So my hat's off to him. That was definitely a dope. I ain't gonna say it's a dope life, but it was definitely a life that was very meaningful, and had purpose, and he lived out his purpose. So, kudos to that man. But yeah, man, if you guys like that video, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button, turn your notification bell on. And until next time, man, love, peace, and hair grease. And we out of there.